Dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the second question and answer session of this Kalalgoda English medium retreat. So we'll start with the written questions. Yes.
We have several questions.
Okay.
Most of them are meditation.
Yes.
Most venerable Thero, sitting meditation. A few minutes after sitting, my breath becomes sudden, and I feel a tight pressing on my nose, which moves towards the forehead. Also,
You can repeat the question.
Most venerable Thero, sitting meditation. A few minutes after sitting, my breath becomes sudden, and I feel a tight pressing on my nose, which moves towards the forehead. Also, I feel a current sweeping across my head, and I also feel my head muscles tightening. This current also sometimes moves across my legs, as well as my hands. But today, my sitting meditation, my mind was going to various thoughts. The mind didn't stay in one thought for too long, but different unrelated thoughts which didn't have a connection. These thoughts didn't trigger much fear. Walking meditation, most of the time my mind goes into thoughts, but when the focus comes to the feet again, I feel the electric current-like sensation in my head.
In my head.
In my head. Day-to-day activities. I mainly focus on my thoughts. Sometimes when I do those, also I get this current-like sensation on my head. Also when I hear happy news from others. But I have a terrible weakness due to a past karma. Most of the time I get to hear harsh words from a family member. Although I don't react verbally, I notice my dosha arising in my mind. It stays for a while and goes. I try hard not to manifest on it, but this is a huge obstacle to my practice. Most venerable Bhante, please advise me. May you attain Nibbana in this life.
So anyway, this the nervous system works in a kind of a electric pulse base. So as you all know, sometimes the neurons and how they transmit the signals to the various parts of the body is through, in a way, kind of electric pulses. So if you feel that kind of a current going on in your body, so it is natural. But it's a way of interpreting that our experience. But even in the reality also, now in the science they have found how one neutron, what is called, it's not neutron, something called neuron. Yeah, one neuron passes another signal to another neuron. So all these things are kind of electric pulses, and through such that manner, our body is in a way entirely a kind of electric circuit like. So even in the brain, the circuits are there. So in such circuits are the ones doing the various purposes. Like say for example, for visualization, there's a certain region acting, and for hearing, there's a region acting. For storytelling, then again there's a region acting. So likewise, this whole body is in a way kind of a machine, kind of a factory. So it has so many components, so many different say what you call ayatana, what you call the different bases. Anyway, if you can in one sense you can use it in Vipassana, understanding that even though we claim it as me or myself, it depends on so many other components, so many other causes, so many other factors, and on which we don't have much control. And in this, in your experience also, it is the same. That even though we claim it as your body, you claim it as my body, so still certain things are happening in the body which you have no control at all. So in deeper sense, you can realize that this is an unself. Basically, I mean, if you had some kind of a governability, if you own this body, if you have complete control over it, then you should be able to change it. You should be able to stop it. But right now, things are happening entirely out of your control. So that sense you can feel, you can really understand. So it's entirely a different system. And that system, even though I claim it as mine, it is not mine. Even though I claim it as me, it is not me. It is some kind of a system which depends on so many other components, so many other causes, and on which I have no control. And on the other hand, sometimes this Anapanasati has some impact on the head area because our attention is more drawn to the nostril, and therefore for certain people it can lead to little complications or complexities. So one alternative is to shift your attention to the abdomen, shifting your primary object to rising and falling rather than keeping it in your head. So in the nostril area, more and more you concentrate in Anapanasati, there's a fair amount of impact happening to the whole head, whole face, and it can lead to some kind of headache, irritation type of thing for some people. So if you feel that this meditation object has caused such kind of a sort of complexity, some kind of an issue, then you can shift your attention to abdomen and see practicing rising and falling, just keeping your attention at the abdomen, and as you're breathing in, the stomach comes little forward, the rising cycle, and you can just keep your attention entirely on this rising cycle. Similarly, as you're breathing out, it is going back, you can keep your attention on the falling cycle. Very similar to Anapanasati, this process also operates to develop mindfulness. Can be used to develop mindfulness. You can spend some time using this rising and falling instead of using Anapanasati as your primary object. So if things getting better, then you can find out rising and falling as the primary object. You can use it as the primary object throughout, because sometimes as I said, for some people Anapanasati has certain issues, even for same person. So after a while again you can shift back to Anapanasati and see whether, I mean, if you really want, but still it is not a must to go through Anapanasati, so you can still go through rising and falling and continue. On the other hand, even if you shift your primary object and still you feel this kind of some absurd kind of electric pulses throughout your body, then you can consult a doctor. Yeah, so we can go to the next.
In walking meditation, in order to maintain present moment notice, novices are advised to concentrate on different stages of the step, such as hope to lift the foot, lifting, lifted position, lowering, touching the ground, pressing. Please advise on this.
Novices are advised to do that. We don't advise as such. So typically we keep the instructions as simple as possible. So without complicating it. Because we like to complicate it, our mind otherwise don't appreciate it. We think that is too simple. I mean, I came along all this long distance to Kalalgoda just to check my touching sensation is too simple. Isn't it? Now sometimes many people come into Mithirigala and it's long distance traveling and they just come and just watch touch sensation. So sometimes it is very difficult to convince people because the instruction is very simple. Now even if you watch your breath, it's extremely simple and it is not something new to you, and you are breathing from the very moment that you had born to this world, but still you are not using it as a way of developing mindfulness. So if you are keeping the meditation instruction very simple, it will help you to overcome defilements. It will help you to go sort of penetrate the defilements, because simplicity is the key to go some profound understanding. But if our minds are crowded, if our minds are complicated, if we are thinking, if mind consists of so many signs, corrupt and sort of polluted with so many things, crowded with so many things, very difficult. But if our minds are very clean, if our minds are very simple, and we can appreciate the simplicity, then growth is very fast. So therefore, for novices especially, so one issue is that your mind get distracted, either to the past or to the future. Therefore, rather than, dividing it to many steps, one option is to use the labeling. Say once your foot is touching the ground, if it is the left leg, you can simply note it as left when the very moment it is touching. And when the right foot is touching, you can note it as right. When it is left, right, left, right. It's extremely simple. But in between, again, mind can shift, mind can distract. So if it is happening like that, then you can little complicate it. How will you complicate it? By dividing into two steps. It's called lifting, placing. So the single step, left, rather than telling left, which indicates just one experience, now you are trying to keep your mind on two experiences, that is the lifting cycle as well as the placing cycle. Lifting, placing, lifting, placing. And this leg also lifting, placing, lifting, placing. So that way your mind is a little more occupied with the object. Even that might not be enough, still the mind can shift, mind can distract. In such situation, you can divide this step into three. Say lifting, moving, placing. Lifting, moving, placing. So again the other leg, lifting, moving, placing. So this way you can little further complicate the process, and again your mind has to get involved in it. So your mind has to observe now 3 steps per leg, per step. So this way again helps to keep the mind more concentrated, more aware about the process. So ultimately, if you feel that your mind now stay with the object without distracting for a considerable period of time, now you even have to drop this labeling, and you can see whether you can just be with the experience. So complete lifting cycle, complete moving cycle, complete placing cycle. Actually you don't need to label it, you don't need to name it, but you are simply observing, and it may have so many steps. Actually at the beginning we only experience one step, say left, right, just 2 steps, and maybe another stage, say 6 steps, lifting, moving, placing. But more and more your mindfulness develops, more and more sampajanya, this clear comprehension develops. It is not just one step, so much of lifting steps, little lifting cycles, little lifting, then little moving, then little placing. So agglomeration of everything becomes the walking. So more and more your mind is more attentive, more precise, kind of thin slicing of time. If it is possible, then you are able to see these various little changes happening for each steps. And your observation becomes very refined, yes, very refined. And again, your speed also become very less, because you can't get this much of information, this much of detail if you are doing some fast walking. So naturally your walking speed may reduce. It's alright. But at the beginning, as a practice, as a usual practice, you can start with a normal pace. Rather than, in a very slow speed, you can simply walk in a normal pace. And once you feel that now mindfulness has established and I like to look at more detail, then you can start doing it. Unknowingly your speed get reduced. So therefore keep it simple. Instructions are simple, and that way I think we can go, because ultimately mind has to be relaxed through walking meditation. If you feel like it's kind of a burden, if you feel like tense, so then it's not the correct way. So suppose you had certain issues, some mind is crowded, some tension was there before the walking, and after say 1 hour's walking, if you did it properly, then you have to feel relaxed, you have to feel calm, you have to feel come back to the present moment. So that if such result is there, then you have done it properly.
Venerable Bhante, this is my first experience in meditation. Yesterday I felt little sleepy and boredom, but today I could do better. What are the advices that you can give to a beginner like me? Nissarana.
There is one Zen master, so he always advised to have a beginner's mind. So everyone, if one has a beginner's mind, not thinking that I am a real expert, rather than thinking I am just a beginner, I am just a novice, I am starting as a fresh person, then it's really easy to grow. So therefore don't feel that you are a beginner. Everyone is invited to become a beginner. Because now if you feel that, say, when little children are meditating, when they are trying something, so they have some fresh mind. So they like to see the experience not through the books, not through some conditioned mind, but some fresh look, new look. So this beginner's mind has that characteristics. So when you are observing a particular phenomena, if your mind is conditioned with so many ways, then it's very difficult to get the real essence, real qualities of the experience. Because our mind already has some prejudices. But if our mind is very open, very clear, and we are ready to accept the thing as it is, without putting our likes and dislikes onto it, without putting our preconceived ideas to it, then it is easy to get the experience, easy to understand the real nature of the experience. So therefore, beginners are welcome. Everyone, if can behave like beginner, so that Zen master is telling, one of the Suzuki, I can't remember the exact, Sunyuru Suzuki. So he's the Zen master, and he has a very little booklet calling Beginner's Mind, Zen Mind. So he's inviting to have this beginner's mind. So as a basic instructions, so before you start sitting, you can do a walking session. So walking helps us to come back to the present moment, and you have some control in your behavior, in your way of walking, in the sense that how you are keeping your steps, and then and there you are trying to be mindful. When your left foot is touching, you are keeping your attention there. When your right foot is touching, you are keeping your attention there. Again, left foot is touching, you are keeping your attention there. So again, suppose your mind distracts, so slowly you take it back. So suppose your mind distracted and spent, say, 10 minutes with something else. But after 10 minutes, okay, you understood, okay, I am now in Kalalgoda. So you take the attention back to the left foot if it is that touching right now. So similarly, if you continue like that, continuous practice helps you to minimize that distracted period. So at the beginning you may distracted, for example, 10 minutes. Later on you may distracted only 7 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. So this distracted period will become less and less, and at a time, in a later situation, when the mind drifts from the present moment, you can realize, you can understand. That's an improvement, that's an indication that your mindfulness has become sharp. So this is how it grows. And again, in sitting, you can first pay some attention to the posture just to come back to the present moment. And later, it is better to find out some ongoing process, natural process like breathing or rising and falling, because each and every rising and falling contributes to mindfulness. So it is like that you are sharpening a knife. If you just keep it as it is, stationary, still, then you can't sharpen it. In order to sharpen it, again and again you want to rub it on the sharpening stone. So similarly, our mindfulness, the tool of mindfulness, we are sharpening through this inhale and exhale, or the rising and falling. Each and every inhale, each and every exhale contributing a little bit of mindfulness. So actually, not it is contributing, rather we are observing it. This very observation helps us to develop mindfulness a little bit. Again we are observing, that helps us to develop mindfulness a little bit. So slowly it is growing. So at the beginning it is utterly slow. So you have to have enough patience. And therefore don't get discouraged thinking that I am trying my best, still my mind get distracted. I don't know what is this mindfulness. So don't get distracted. It is utterly slow at the beginning. And again, you need to have fair amount of patience as well as effort. If you are using these two keys, patience and effort, you will succeed.
This question is about walking meditation. When there are multiple paths to select, should I select a longer path or shorter path? Will there be any difference by the length of the path?
One quick thing is that for a beginner, that the ending point, the end, you have to turn. So that turning point is a little difficult point for beginners, because there is a possibility that you are losing your mindfulness at that end point, because you have to turn. But in between you can carry on being mindful, step by step you are being mindful. Now you are sort of developing the momentum, you are developing the mindfulness, and at the end, once you come to the end, you can, rather than immediately turning, you can just stand still. And even if you like, you can label it as I am standing. I was walking and now I am standing. You just be aware that how you stand. And then slowly, with couple of steps, you can turn back. Again, once you turn back, don't immediately start coming back. You again note that now again I am standing. After that, again you can start left, right, or whatever the way, you can again come back. So one advantage of having a long distance is that you are developing mindfulness in a similar pattern in between, because you have a fairly large distance, long distance. But on the other hand, so once you are developing mindfulness, so having these endpoints is a kind of a challenge. How you can maintain undisturbed, sort of distracted mindfulness even at the ends. So it helps you to sort of test your mindfulness. So therefore I think use whatever you have. No need to have that much of a preference. So at your home, if you have short distance, please use it. So in a meditation center, if you get long distance, you can welcome that. There is no hard and fast rule telling that always go for the long distance. There is no such hard and fast rule. But typically we say at least the distance has to be 20 feet or 20 steps long. 20 steps that you can, at a stretch you can go for 20 steps. in walking, and again coming back 20 steps, so then it is more than enough.
When various colors appear in meditation, that do they mean? Do the colors correspond to mental states? Since the Buddha stated that the mind in its pure state is luminous, Buddhists depict a pure white light. Is jhana always accompanied by light?
You can't say that jhana always accompanied by light, but you can say that it begins with light. Say if you proceed with anapanasati, so if you deeply want to absorb, then the anapanasati nimitta, concentration sign, has to appear, and to which that you are trying to absorb. So it typically manifests as light. So, but again, it is not a rule that there are certain, actually in Visuddhimagga there are many different signs are mentioned. Say different people can have different signs also, but mostly in the majority, light is the kind of a manifestation. So again, this light at the beginning can be different. One may have the blue color, one may green color, yellow color, or whatever the way. But mostly it is not yet matured enough, not yet grown enough to absorb. So more and more you have to continue with anapanasati, paying more attention to in-breath and out-breath in a very calm manner, and that will contribute to further establish or improve or grow this light. So ultimately it becomes bright, and mostly it becomes white. So these are sort of high probability that the meditators have found. So that has gone even to the books, where the majority are experiencing some highly concentrated state, which is more suitable for absorption, for jhana, is this kind of a bright white light. But on the other hand, there are other absorption methods, jhana techniques, say for example kasina. So kasina doesn't necessarily have to be a light, say white light. So there are different color kasina, red color kasina, then yellow color kasina, blue color kasina, and again white color kasina. Nila, Pita, Lohita, Odata. So there are color kasinas are there. So once you are practicing with those, the light, the manifestation of the light are corresponding to the color that you have used. Say for example, you are using again and again the blue color, and you pick the blue color to the mind, and even once you close your eyes, the blue color image, sign of blue color is available, and more you apply your mind again and again to that, so the color becomes spreaded all around, and to that you may be absorbing. So then the light is very much blue, not white. Even to that blue color one can absorb. So and again the other kasinas are there, Patavi kasina, where the earth element you can even prepare it using clay, brown color clay, and such is possible, and or else you can even pick the hardness from the body parts and you can absorb that. So different techniques are there to get into jhana. It is not a must to have white kasina, white color, but anyway the white color is fairly it's a good selection by many meditators. Maybe the other colors have some distractive quality, but white in a way is a sign of clarity, sign of purity. So likewise there's an indication of that. So therefore many meditators, they have some preference to white kasina even in the kasina meditation. And even in the anapanasati, as I said, the bright light ultimately become white. That would be more easier to absorb. And again, there are some meditators, they can even, so if if they are able to maintain very balanced mind, even it is not necessary for this light to become extremely bright, even unknowingly they get absorbed. Not necessary for this light to become very bright and white. So it depends on how you are approaching the situation. So therefore we can't come up with a rule telling it is necessary to be white.
Whenever Bhante, please describe Chaturārakṣaka meditation. Is it recommended that we do Chaturārakṣaka meditation before we do the Ānāpānasati meditation?
Yes. So Chaturārakṣaka or Chaturārakha Bhavana is refers 4 types of guardian meditations. We call it as guardian meditation. Buddhanusati, Maranasati, Metta and Asubha. Buddhanusati, so these 4 meditations are, as a tradition, maybe mostly in Sri Lanka, many people or many yogis have practiced, and they found some special benefits from these 4 meditations. Number 1, say for example, Buddhanusati. So if you don't have much energy, if you don't have pleasant feeling in the mind, some kind of happiness in the mind, then you can go for Buddhanusati, because once you start to go through the different good qualities, sublime qualities of the Buddha, so your mind becomes really joyful, quite happy, kind of lightness arise in yourself, so kind of positive feeling arise, faith develops, so that is more contributing to meditation. So typically, for meditation to grow, you have to have a kind of a pleasant mind, to have a kind of a happy mind, rather than kind of a depressed mind. So if you are joyful, if you are happy, so it's easily the meditation develops. So therefore, Buddhanusati helps to have that attitude, helps to have that lightness in your mind, have that pleasant feeling in yourself. And on the other hand, say Metta. So if you are in a very sort of aggressive mode, in a resentful mode, angry mood, then if you are trying to develop Ānāpānasati, it's very difficult. So rather than going to Ānāpānasati on such situation, one option is to go to walking meditation, or else you can try Metta, loving kindness. So loving kindness, you can start with say for example, someone who you really appreciate, someone who you really respect, and with that person you can continue, and then you can spread towards your loved ones, towards some equanimous people, and even to the enemies. So likewise you can develop metta, so that will take you back to the very pleasant, joyful feeling, and then you can go to Ānāpānasati. And Asubha is if your mind is sort of burning with lust, then again if you try to do Ānāpānasati, it's very difficult. So you can try Asubha, where you are trying to contemplate the body as 32 parts. Each part is repulsive. So you are trying to pick the repulsive quality of each part. So in this way, now the arisen lust may reduce slowly, and again your mind become equanimous. You are taking your mind to the equanimity, sort of to the ground level, rather than this agitated burning lust. So therefore the Asubha Bhavana helps to come back to this typical realistic nature of the mind. And Marananusati, if you don't have much urgency in practice, then Marananusati helps you to develop this urgency. So understanding that this death is possible at any given time, it's not necessary to be after 10 years, 20 years, it can happen even on the next moment. So this possibility reveals in the Marananusati, and again if you are too much attached to things, Marananusati helps to lighten that grasping, to reduce that grasping, and coming back to some relaxed mind. So Marananusati in that sense helps. So therefore these 4 guardian meditation have their different benefits. So depending on your mood, you can use them. So there is no, there was a rule telling that always you need to go through this guardian meditation and before you coming to the main meditation object like Anapanasati. But later it is found it is not a must. It depends on how your present moment. Say if your mind is already calm, already you feel to meditate and your energy is positive and you feel pleasant, then you can immediately go to the main meditation object like Anapanasati or rising and falling, whatever. But if you don't have energy, then you can try say Buddhanusati, Metta like this. And again if you are resentful, again you can go for Metta. If your mind is burning with lust, you can go for Asubha. So likewise, depending on the quality of the mind, you better select this different object. So based on that, after applying of that, you can come back to the main meditation object. It is like medicine. So depending on the sickness, you can use it. So don't overdose it.
The last question. Venerable Bhante, yesterday you said that only if one is so can he or she have a good command of their last thought before death. Maybe you could tell us the fast method of becoming Sovan as Samapassa overcrosses and need to know this soon. May the triple
What's the last statement?
Sovan as Samapassa overcrosses and he to know this soon.
So Buddha has told the fastest path. So we are trying to practice that fastest path. That is Satipatthana. That's all. There may be various other techniques, but Satipatthana meditation, mindfulness meditation is that Buddha is telling Ekayano Ambikave Maggu. So this is the only path. And Soka Pariddavanam Samatikkamaya, in order to overcome the sorrows, lamentation, Dukkha Domanassanam Attangamaya, to relinquish all the unsatisfactoriness, suffering, Nyayasa Abhigamaya, to develop wisdom, Nibbanasa Satchikiriyaya, to realize Nibbana. So this is the only path, the fastest path. highway to Nibbana. So there are many other meditation methods actually available in, say for example, in Visuddhimagga. So many meditation techniques are mentioned, and sometimes some people have even given priority to those so many techniques, neglecting the main path that Buddha has preached. But if you are trying to develop the main path that Buddha has preached, so then it's sure that we can, because it is not that I am telling this, Buddha is giving this promise. Before Buddha preaches Satipatthana, he is telling all the benefits of it, as I said just before. And again he is telling, if someone is dedicated and practicing it, within 7 years, he either can become an Anagami or Arahant. And he says then reduce back to 6 years. No need to say go for 7 years, even within 6 years, one can do it. So Buddha is reducing the time period. Then he is reducing it to 5 years, 4 years, 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, and then coming back even to 7 days. Telling continuously, if one is dedicated practice in the Satipatthana, he is telling one is able to accomplish what he is promising. So therefore, in the past actually there are even, I heard in the commentaries telling that everyone was practicing Satipatthana, and even say servants of the people or rich families, even when they are meeting at the well, so different servants are coming from different families to collect water, and they are discussing what is the practice that each servant is doing. You can understand to how much extent Satipatthana was practiced at that time. So, but unfortunately, the priority given to that has lost. But now we are coming back to that priority, giving that priority. Say Mahasi Sayadaw, this Matara Jnanarama Thero, Bhante Dhammajiva also, he's trying every time calling mindfulness. Because that is the key. So that is where we have to start. And that is the key, and more one become mindful, more and more one lives according to Satipatthana. So that is the best. And in very clearly said in one sutta called Mitta Sutta, in Satipatthana Sangyutta, in Sangyutta Nikaya, and Buddha says, if you feel that someone would listen to you, if you feel that someone will listen to you, and if you feel that someone is worthy of telling something, if you feel that someone is worthy of giving you attention that you like, then please teach him Satipatthana. So as a friend, please teach Satipatthana. So that is the advice Buddha is giving. It's so important, and that is the finding of, the main teaching of the Buddha. And even after he became the Buddha, the very fresh Buddha, so at that time, so he was reflecting what is the best way of putting his message, what's the best way of purification possible. And he understood the Satipatthana is the best way of purification. And at that time, it is in this particular sutta, it is said Sahampati, the Mahabrahma, has seen the thought appeared in the Buddha's mind, and he came and praised the Buddha, that telling that even the previous Buddhas have took the same path. They also have preached Satipatthana as the main theme of their teaching, and you also have selected the same thing, so I appreciate it, so I will welcome it, please do it. So like that he invites. So therefore much prominence is given through Satipatthana, so that is the pathway to Nibbana. Yes.
Written questions are
Finished. So we have finished all the written questions. If you have any question to ask, to discuss, so please feel free to ask.
This is going back to a question that somebody asked you earlier today about the Chaturanga Bhavana.
Yes.
I suppose in bits and pieces we had heard earlier, but I was not familiar with the overall concept, and I really appreciate it. Can this be linked up to the Nissarana, the 5 hindrances, and the 10 petals, the Samyojana?
Yes.
In order to overcome those, if so, how will this?
Yeah, sure. Actually, hindrances, as you know, Kamachanda, the sensual desire, has a link with the Asubha Bhavana. So, the Kamachanda is the sensual desire aroused either to another person, sexual desire, sensual desire. So, if such is arisen, if you are practicing Asubha Bhavana, this repulsive meditation, then you can subside Kamachanda. And Vyapada, the ill will, overcome through metta. And again, doubt, vichikiccha, so you can overcome through buddhanusati. Restlessness and regret type of thing, you can say that you can overcome that through marananusati, but I can't see a direct link. So, because restlessness is available, it's a kind of a subtle hindrance, you can't immediately overcome that. But the first two, the Kamachanda and Vyapada, directly accessed or directly addressed by Asubha Bhavana and the Metta Bhavana. Marananusati actually, behaves in a different manner, giving you some proper, correct perspective about our life, rather than thinking that I would never die, rather than again coming back to the ground level and coming back to our senses and feeling that we are sort of vulnerable people and anytime the death can happen, and so I better make use of this life. So like that, giving the urgency. Yeah. Yes. Thina Middha, actually Maranusati can help. So if someone is constantly sleeping, neglecting this thing, so Marananusati in a way helps to, because he's now start to burn, thinking, okay, I may die even tomorrow, so if I sleep today, then I'm wasting time. So I better wake up and do the practice. So Marananusati helps in that way. But while we are practicing, Thina Middha can happen. So we have to discuss in a different theme why Thina Middha happens, how to overcome Thina Middha, and so sometimes we can take it in a positive way as an indication of the development of the meditation, and later on through the practice we have to slowly overcome Thina Middha. But immediately with these four, because in a way you are also correct. Now say for example, if you are practicing Buddhanusati, so it gives you some energy, it gives you some positive feeling about the Buddha, so you feel happy. So in a happy mind, Thina Middha can't stay, because you are very joyful, energetic. So Thina Middha is a kind of a depressed, kind of a lethargic attitude. So in such a very positive mind, Thina Middha can't exist. So therefore Buddhanusati, Metta helps to overcome Thina Middha also. So but as I said, the Kamachanda has a direct impact with Asubha Bhavana. On such a kind of a direct relationship is not there. Yes. Okay. Okay, then we'll wind up the question and answer session. So we can have the Dhamma sermon at around 4 p.m. today. Yes, 4. Yes. Okay, thank you very much for participation.